Hello and welcome to another video here at Hobbies and Happiness. My name's Dan.
And I'm Jim. Insert funny pun about Alpha Clash spoilers.
That was good. I like that. Jim's over here waiting, spending like minutes trying to figure out a funny pun. He's like, all right, dude, I got it. All right, we're back with some more Alpha Clash recaps of spoiler season for Clashgrounds. We're at the last full week, got a couple more days. So after this week, there's about like 2 days left of spoilers, and then the entire set is going to be revealed. So we're going to recap all of last week's spoilers here for everybody. So before we get into it, if you like Alpha Clash and you like this kind of content, don't forget, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, turn on those notifications so you can be notified when we release more Alpha Clash content in the future. Now, before we get into it, got a quick announcement. Hey, we got some merch. We got Hobbies and Happiness merch finally added. So I'm gonna have to try and update all the links to everything. So yeah, just follow those links. It's gonna be down in the description everywhere. It's been posted. So if you want some Hobbies and Happiness merch, follow it. Get yourself some shirts with Hobbies and Happiness. And yeah, and then the other thing is, don't forget, we're also in the middle of the Alpha Clash novel Kickstarter. We're so close, guys. We are so close to that $100,000 mark. And when we hit that mark, there's going to be another alt art card that's going to be free for everybody. So awesome. If you haven't yet backed the Kickstarter, what are you waiting for? Go do it. Such a great story. Phenomenal story. Follow the link down below for the Kickstarter and back that Kickstarter. So you only got a few weeks left, but yeah, don't forget to back the Kickstarter. So that's kind of all we got. But all right, let's get into the spoilers here as I turn on Do Not Disturb. All right. So the first spoiler we got is from Kyle Petchak. You can follow him on Instagram at K_Petchak_art. It's a Haven Taking Risks. Haven Taking Risks is a 2-cost, 1 required blue resource for a 1/2 Haven Earth rare Clash card. She's a rogue affiliated Clash card and has trigger enter. Reveal the top card of your deck. You may have your contender lose health equal to that card's initial resource cost. If you do, put 2 collection counters on target relic you control, then put the revealed card into your hand. So this card obviously is going to pair very well with the Haven Contender and the backpack. Jim, what do you think about taking risks here?
Phenomenal. Yeah. I know it says that they're taking risk, but honestly, you're not. You're going to be having your deck semi-low to the ground, and you're going to be like, okay, I'm going to take 1 damage. I'm going to gain 2 of these tokens. Okay, sign me up all day. How
much damage would you be taking? Because again, remember, especially with the Haven Contender, when she takes damage, she gets those counters added to her as well.
That also counts?
I believe so. I believe it does. Yeah, okay. Right? But here's my question to you, Jim. Yeah. How much damage are you willing to take to get those counters?
Is it going to win me the game? All of it.
Exactly.
All of it.
Exactly. So yeah, I mean, a two cost for a 1/2. I mean, that doesn't look the greatest, but that is a really good trigger enter.
Yeah.
I mean, are you playing this in anything but Haven builds?
Honestly, probably not.
Probably not. Yeah. But again, in that shell, in that archetype, it's gonna go phenomenally well.
Yep.
So that is Haven Taking Risks. The next card, man, this is very interesting. All right, so this was spoiled to us by Jordan Sismic. You can follow him at Sism Shady. That's at SZYM Shady on Instagram.
Great name.
It is 100%. So the card is Sideswipe. It is a 2-cost, 1 required blue resource for an uncommon accessory trap. And it says counter trap. Negate the effects of target trap being activated, then put it face down into its owner's accessory zone. Then, if you control 2 or more Clash cards, you may send target accessory to oblivion.
Huh.
What do you think about this card, Jim?
So if you don't have 2 or more Clash cards, then it's just a tempo play to keep whatever it is from activating that one time. But if you do have 2, it gets rid of it completely.
Or something else, or a different accessory. It doesn't even have to be that trap card. Because it does say then if you control 2 or more Clash cards, you may send target accessory to Oblivion.
Okay. Wow. Okay.
So much more versatile.
Yeah, that's kind of sick.
That's kind of nuts. and it's not like it's that big of a threshold. You just need 2 Clash cards.
Yeah.
Which is not that bad.
Seems pretty easy. I mean, sure, it's not really going to work after a board wipe, but that's okay.
Well, yeah, right. But still, it's a pretty good. Again, I mean, this is a very interesting trap. I like it because you can choose when to activate it, right? So you just you pick your spot.
Mm-hmm. Overall, I am a big fan of the card. I like it.
Yeah. So that is a side swipe. So okay. All right, let's get the next one. So the next one comes to us courtesy of art director Wade King. It is Confiscate. You can follow him. You can follow Wade on Twitter. On Instagram and Facebook at Art of Wade King. So Confiscate is a 1 cost, 1 required green resources for an uncommon quick action. And it reads counter play. You may only play this card when an opponent plays a weapon. If the portal is open, that weapon is returned to its owner's hand instead of entering play. If the portal is closed, that weapon can't be attached to a Clash card this turn. So what do you think about Confiscate, Jim?
Well, it's definitely a tech card against all.
Yes, very much a tech card.
And it's super cheap, so it forces them to have to play it again, or I do really like that bottom ability part.
Yeah.
Because if you bounce something back to their hand, it can just be replayed and then it can be attached through other ways. But if you just make it to where it's not attaching this turn at all, I mean, sometimes that's just kind of better. Depending on, the cost of the weapon, they could just replay it again. Right.
I mean, because again, with weapons and attaching it, that's always a tempo play anyway, right? Yeah. Because if you're the one playing the weapon, you got to pick your spot of when I'm going to play and then when I'm going to attach, right? Yeah. And so that can be kind of tricky, and then this just disrupts that. Yeah. So very much a tech card, but it definitely has interesting implications. That is for sure. So that's Confiscate. So the next one is comes to us courtesy of Jazz Kenster. You can follow him on Instagram at Jazz Kenster. It is Sonoro Sonic Blaster. So Sonoro Sonic Blaster is a 4 cost, 2 required green resources for a Sonoro Earth Alpha Clash card. He's a 3/4. Is an uncommon rarity and says trigger victory. You may engage target Clash card you control. If you do, put a Clash card with initial resource cost of 2 or less from your Oblivion into play. Jim, what do you think of Sonoro Sonic Blaster?
That card's phenomenal.
Why is it phenomenal?
So there's the other Sonoro to where you have to send 1 card you control to Oblivion to then bring back another one. So it's not really changing a board state, but just to exhaust, say, like one of your weak cards is not going to get through, and you're not really afraid of dying the following turn. It's just like, okay, I'm going to exhaust it, bring out another creature completely, and that could then, puts it into play. So then you get trigger play effects?
I believe so. Trigger enter. Yeah, you would get trigger. You would get trigger enter effects. Yeah.
Okay. So I mean, phenomenal. So if you're looking for that added value on top of it, or it doesn't even come into play exhausted either.
Correct.
So if you can attack with it, you can.
Correct.
Yeah, I like it.
Yeah, I mean this goes in quite a few different builds here, but I see this definitely in very low to the ground builds, obviously, right? I mean this is an interesting mid range card, or mid costed card for those for those very aggressive builds for sure. So that is a Sonoro Sonic Blaster. The next one comes to us courtesy of Alex Tripp. You can follow him on Instagram at Trip_design_studio. It's Favorable Outcome. Favorable Outcome is a 1 cost, 1 required red resources For a common basic action, it reads, deal 2 damage to target Clash card. If that Clash card is defeated by this effect, create 1/1/1 red Harbinger War minion Clash token. That token cannot attack this turn. So 1 cost for 2 damage. What do you think about this one, Jim?
The thing I really like about this is, since we've seen a lot of the other cards in red, we know that there's a Clashground that increases your non-combat damage, damage by 1. So this is
the lightning bolt.
Lightning bolt your creature, make a 1/1 that's going to defend me on my turn. Yeah. That's real good.
Yeah,
I love this card.
Yeah, so it's shock base.
Yeah.
But can turn into lightning strike.
Yeah,
or lightning bolt. Excuse me, lightning bolt.
Phenomenal card
with a 1/1.
Phenomenal.
Pretty interesting, and it's a common too. So really interesting. I love the artwork with a war on there skewering a soldier. So that is a favorable outcome. This next card is very interesting. Okay, so this next one comes to us courtesy of Mirko Alviano. You can follow him on Instagram at Mirko Alviano _art. It is Hidden Pathway. So Hidden Pathway is an uncommon Clashground. It's a white card, okay? It is 1 cost, no required resources. So this can go in anything, okay? It is a New York Earth Clashground, okay? And then it reads, at the start of your turn, if the portal is open, you may send this card to your oblivion. If you do, search your deck for a Clashground and reveal it. Shuffle your deck and then put the revealed card on top. So what do you think about Hidden Pathway, Jim? It's slow, obviously.
It is slow, and at first I just thought it was going to put it right into your hand. I'm like, go get Grant Park, Chicago, search for 5, boom, boom, you're dead. No, you're not really dead. But yeah, I like this card. You know, we talked about how important Clashgrounds are in the game.
Especially in the set entitled Clashgrounds.
This is a low drop or a low cost neutral, essentially. It's neutral. You can play it in every single deck. And just worst case scenario, you set it up to where your following turn is going to get you, or I guess worst case is you just blow up their Clashground and you never get to activate this effect. But and then that sets you up for your future plays with whatever Clashground you want.
Correct.
Yeah,
correct. I mean,
I like it. Sure, it's slow, but
it also is. I mean, you talk about deck thinning.
Yep.
Right. It is deck thinning. Right.
Yep.
Or it has the potential to, I should say.
Yeah.
But yeah, I
it's
like
cheap disruption.
Right. And it's so low to the ground. It only costs 1, no required resources.
Worst case scenario, it's a white resource.
Well, plus, I mean, yes, this is slow, but this can help you find your win con. Like, this can help you find your New York City.
Oh, yeah.
It can help you find the card that you need to win the game, right? So I really like the implications of this card. So that is a Hidden Pathway. All right, the next 2 that we have, again, come to us courtesy of Kyle Petchak. Again, Instagram at K_Petchak_art. So the first one, it's another Pestilence card. It is Pestilence Fatal Foe. Pestilence Fatal Foe is a 6 cost, 2 required green resources for a 5/5 Pestilence Plagueholm Harbinger Clash card. It is a common rarity card, and it reads, trigger enter. All non-Pestilence Clash cards get -1/-1 until end of turn. Jim, what do you think about Pestilence?
Well, I love that he is but it's not a board wipe, but he can get rid of a lot of just really weak cards, especially the war tokens.
Those tokens, yeah.
That part can be, depending on how big war is in meta. I mean, this card could be phenomenal. Right. 5/5/6. But then how I was also looking at, I was like, isn't just a 6/6 for 6 vanilla kind of better than this? Because I was like, all right, well, if they have a 6/6, it now becomes a 5/5, and now they trade anyway. But it can get rid of all those weak creatures as well. Right. Yeah, I mean, I love. All
this 5/5 for 6 is almost the same as a 6/6 for 6 because if it's not pestilence, it gets -1, -1.
Yes. Yeah.
So it can straight up trade with another 6 drop potentially.
Or save itself from trading with a 5/5 normally.
Right.
Yeah. It's a cool card.
Yeah, it's very interesting, that's for sure.
It's not overpowering, but it's a strong.
Right.
It's a decent effect.
Right. Okay, so that's Pestilence Fatal Foe. The next one is Haven Provoked. This is pretty interesting. Okay, so Haven Provoked is a 4-cost, 2 required blue resources for a 0/3 Haven of Earth Clash card. She's a rogue affiliated Clash card and an epic rarity card. And it has the keyword Safeguard, so it can't be targeted. Can't be the target of card effects or abilities your opponents control. And that says this card gets +1/+0 for each Haven Clash card you control. So you're going to be running this in a lot of Haven builds. And then the last one, at the start of your turn, if this card is engaged, put 1 collection counter on target relic you control. So what do you think about Haven Provoke, Jim?
Well, seeing how the game, when we were playing recently, we had how many Haven cards just chilling out on the board doing nothing?
Doing nothing, yeah. Because they're like the 1/1s, the trigger enter draws.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. This card can get big. Sure, the defense isn't that high, so at the start of your turn when it is engaged, then you can put a collection counter on. That's phenomenal. Yeah. It's just the defense isn't very high. So it could just die to a lot of stuff, it seems. But overall, I love this card.
Because again, it can't be targeted.
Can't be targeted. And you utilize it as a you utilize it as a removal spell, I guess. Of just like, all right, it's just sitting out there for when I do want to use the card.
Right.
And probably not really getting you that extra value of the collection token.
The collection counters?
Yeah, the collection counter. That's kind of how I'm seeing it.
That's the cherry on top, right?
Yeah. Yeah, that's just if it happens, beautiful.
Right. And then if it happens over multiple turns, you're like, okay, yes.
Sign me up. 4 cost all day.
Yeah. So, all right. So that is a Haven Provoked. And then the next one that we have comes to us courtesy of Jose Rod Mota. You can follow him on Instagram at Jose Rod Mota, JoseRodMota. The card is Bone Armor. Bone Armor is a 2-cost, 1 required block resource for a rare weapon accessory. So it has an attached cost of 2 black resources. Then it says, whenever you attach this weapon to a Clash card you control, send another target Clash card you control to Oblivion. Attached Clash card gets Flight and Necrotic. So again, Necrotic, if you're coming from a game like Magic, is Death Touch. And then it says this card can only be attached to a Death Clash card. So it's a weapon that gives what it's attached to Flight and Necrotic. Jim, what do you think about Bone Armor?
That's pretty sick. Just being able to give yourself flight is pretty strong. As we know with New York City.
Yep.
And you're able to move it around, but then you do have to get rid of stuff.
Yeah.
But if you only have 1 creature out on board, that's not a cost.
It's not a cost.
That's just an effect.
It's an effect, yeah.
So if you don't have another
one,
you can't get rid of anything.
Correct.
So, yeah, I like this. Flight and Death Touch or Necrotic. Very powerful effects.
Yeah.
And 2 cost.
2 cost and then 2 attach. Two attach. There we go.
Yeah. I think overall
it's interesting. It's interesting design.
It's interesting, and flight's just so big.
Flight is just super good.
It's like this is gonna end games.
Right. And even if it has flight, I don't care if you've got another big flyer. Because guess what? We're just gonna trade.
Yep.
I
was just thinking with the other death where when you sacrifice your cards or you sacrifice your cards to make it +2 attack higher. So then you're just like, all right, I'm going to now give it flight for 2 less attack, but I know I'm getting over all of your stuff and swinging in for a big number. So yeah, I can't wait to see what people do with this.
Now, the only downside to this is it doesn't give you another buff, like a stat buff. It just gives you flight and necrotic, right? It's
also really good for defending.
Yes, For sure. Super good for that, for sure. I'm very interested to see what kind of build this card is going to go into. When I first saw this card, I was really intrigued, but I'm like, I don't know what kind of deck this is going to work with. So again, I'm super interested on what kind of decks we're going to see with the cards from set 2. So that is Bone Armor. This next card, I'm really interested in this. Okay, so the card is Supersonic Disruptor. So Supersonic Disruptor is a 2-cost, 1 required blue resource for an uncommon relic accessory. And it says counterplay. You may only activate this effect when an opponent plays a clash card. You may remove 2 collection counters from this card. If you do, put this card into your hand. Then that clash card loses all abilities and effects until end of turn. All right, so this is really interesting, okay? So this is a relic, right? So this is a relic that also cares about collection counters, okay? So if you want to take advantage of that second effect, okay, you need to have ways to get collection counters onto a relic, okay? All right, so Jim, what's your initial thoughts on Supersonic Disruptor here?
When I first read it, I'm like, remove 2 collection counters? But it doesn't get collection counters. I'm like, oh, so you can just remove it from the other thing. I'm like, no, but this is a relic, and it says you got to remove it from this.
Yeah.
So at first I was very confused. But yeah, you do need to have the other cards with it.
Right. Which those are so far we've seen a lot of them in the Haven packages.
Yeah. And I love being able to negate effects. So like this card is pretty cool, but it seems like it just requires a lot of other things to make it work.
Well, let's reread this, okay? So counterplay, you may only activate this effect when an opponent plays a clash card. Okay, so that's stipulation 1. Okay, you may remove 2 collection counters from this card. All right, if you do, put this card into your hand, then that clash card loses all abilities and effects until end of turn. So there's a lot that you have to do just to basically negate the effects on a clash card. And it's only until the end of the turn, right? So there's a lot that you have to do. I mean, this is clearly a tempo play, okay? Clearly that, right? So you have to play it out, right? So once it's out on board, okay, now you have to have ways of getting collection counters on it to be able to do anything with it, okay? And then we have to ask the question, is that good enough, right? Like, is that good? Because again, all I'm doing is slowing them down the turn they play it, right? I mean, let's say they put down a Machina Unstoppable Force or a Flare. It's just for that turn, right? And that's still a 6/6, you know? So it's like...
Still a problem.
It's still a problem, right? Now, it's not as much of a problem that turn, so... I mean, it is disrupting the play, obviously.
Yeah, it's also weird because it's like, yes, it's a tempo play, and those are very important, but when you have to put so many other things into it, your opponent is just already higher tempo than you, so... Like, where's the scale on that?
Like, it's like you're already behind.
Already behind to not do enough.
Right, you're already behind, and then this isn't putting me ahead. Right. So, it's interesting, right? I'm interested to see if somebody's going to be able to really make this work. Okay? But yeah.
Good luck.
But... So anyway, that is a Sonic Disruptor, and again, don't forget to mention this was spoiled by Sonderflex. You can follow them on Instagram at Sonderflex. Okay, all right. The last card that we have for the week is comes to us courtesy of William Puker at William Puekker. Follow him on Instagram. This card is Torque. Forceful Hitter. So Torque Forceful Hitter is a 4-cost, 2 required red resources for a 3/3 Torque Earth Alpha Clash card. It's an uncommon rarity card, and it says whenever Clash card is defeated by non-Clash damage, deal a damage to target contender. Pretty simple. Jim, what do you think about this?
Pretty phenomenal. Is what we're talking about.
And this is
here.
only an uncommon too.
Yeah. You know, you're just like, oh, I'm gonna have out maybe 2 of these. I'm gonna just control my opponent. Didn't take 2. Didn't take another 2. Didn't take another 2 damage as I'm just controlling your board. If I'm saying like play flare or whatever bolt effects on your creatures, then I'm just, you know, getting rid of. Question, does this also see Here Come the Boom?
Yes, it does. Can you imagine having 2 of these out and then just having a board like two of these, right? And then plus 4 other cards. And then can you imagine having Torque what is it? I have the card right here too, guys. It's un something. Torque the Uncontrollable, where when it just gets bigger.
Yeah.
Okay.
The part I love about this is it says whenever a Clash card is defeated, doesn't have to be your opponent's.
Correct.
Not specifically yours either.
Correct.
It's just
it
board wipe.
It sees itself. Yeah.
And you just die.
Correct. Now, again, we should be. This is it. It's a very specific board wipe, right? Because it's not non-clash damage, right? Yeah. And currently, the only one that we have is Here Comes the Boom, right?
Yeah,
which it's not. It doesn't hit everything, right? It's just it deals 5 to a lot of stuff.
Oh, right? It's gonna deal 6. Trust me, it's gonna deal 6.
Yeah.
Which kills a lot of stuff in this game.
Yeah, it does. It does. So,
I wonder how many cards have higher than 6 toughness or 6 defense.
There's not a lot.
Yeah.
There's not a lot.
Trust me, you killing everything.
Yeah. So this is just like added damage on top of it. It's like,
this is phenomenal. I love it.
Because again, like you have a card like Here Comes the Boom, right? Mm-hmm. It doesn't do anything to your contender. It does now.
It does now.
This is just like, seriously, this is like the this is the icing on the cake those torque 100%. Builds. It's really
100%.
Oh yeah, torque builds have gotten a lot of love. And it's only been like a couple of pieces so far. Yeah. But they're really powerful.
Yeah.
So that is Torque. I'm really excited about this card.
The more I see these red cards, the more I just love red cards in this game, man. It's phenomenal.
Yeah.
I love it.
And it's interesting too because like this is very interesting. Like it's more than just deal X damage, right? It's much more than that. And it's a lot more fun too. It's very interesting.
Yeah. Torque's great. Machina's great. Flare's great. War seems phenomenal as well. Great, it's just like every single character so far I love in red.
Yeah. So, all right. So that is Torque Forceful Hitter. And that's all we got for you guys this week. I'm excited to see what more cards that we have. Yeah. Did you have a favorite of these ones, Jim? Which one did you think?
All right, that's really difficult.
Really? It's not Torque?
I love Torque, but I also really love that First Haven, the Taking Risks card.
Taking Risks,
that card's great too.
That card's really good, yeah.
But I mean, I guess I do really love playing control stuff. Just obliterating my opponent in terms of controlling them to the fullest degree, and that's just going to be better.
Here, a question. Are you going to build a Haven backpack deck?
Yes.
You are?
Yes.
There's going to be a lot of people who are going to build a Haven backpack deck.
I can't wait to see mirror matches.
Oh, yeah.
Just nothing happens.
Yeah. You have to tech in the mirror. It's gonna be really interesting. I'm interested to see how prevalent those decks are gonna be, if they're gonna be prevalent. Because Torque is still gonna be everywhere. Yeah. Though there's still gonna be some good Torque builds, and why not?
Yeah.
So
I can't wait to see it.
Yeah. So, but here's the thing: like, if you can you imagine too, with that last Torque card, right? Because I got to pull it back up here, okay? Because I'm interested. Forceful hitter, right? Yeah. So there's going to be multiple triggers. So like if you're running the Torque contender and you haven't dealt any damage to your Torque yet, you can send one of those to your own Torque to draw a card.
Huh.
Right.
Okay. Yeah.
Right. So that's another thing. Oh man.
Yeah.
Torque is really. Man, I'm really getting a lot. I'm getting a lot of that Torque love,
dude. There's so much cool stuff.
Man.
He's stupidly explosive.
Very, very much.
Stupidly.
And he literally is. Again, guys, read the book. Such a phenomenal story. Phenomenal story. Yeah. Torque is a maniacal, evil piece of garbage. Right. But he's a really interesting.
I'm just waiting for the bad part.
his power is very, very interesting.
Yeah.
It's written so very well, guys. Again, go check out the Kickstarter, back of the book, get yourself a copy. I'm excited for everyone to be able to get that book into their hands and then be able to listen to that audiobook as well, because that's going to be very interesting. So, all right. Well, that's all we got for you this week. Again, just a couple more days of spoilers left for Alpha Clash. And again, don't forget, if you want to pre-order some of this stuff, you can head over to Team Covenant. It's got you covered. Don't forget also, check out the Realm games. They're going to be, you can pick up some Clashgrounds Set 2 stuff from them as well. So check out those retailers as well. Again, if you like this kind of content, don't forget, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, turn on bell notifications so you can be notified when we release more content like this in the future. That's all the Alpha Clash we got for you today. Thanks everybody for hanging out with us, and we'll catch you in the next Alpha Clash video. See everybody.
Take care.